Hello, I'm Bill Mackerlane of the Ohio Building Officials Association. OBOA is a 1,400-member organization consisting of 9 local chapters whose goals are to promote uniform code development and application and to promote professionalism among our members, thereby improving the safety and welfare of our constituents. We would like to take a few minutes of your time to discuss the important role that building codes play in your life and the welfare of your community.
I'm Bruce Wolf with the Ohio Building Officials Association. Have you ever stopped to consider the functional aspects of your home and other buildings that you frequent on a regular basis? Do you worry that there will not be a light when you flip the switch, or water when you turn the faucet? When at home or in a commercial building, are you anxious that the building will withstand the elements of wind, snow, and rain?
If you are like most of us, we take these aspects of the buildings around us for granted. Buildings function as expected for the most part because of the role of building codes, our first line of defense. Building codes ensure that structures are safe, sound, sanitary, and functional. A well-constructed building stands the test of time and by doing so protects property values. Although construction codes have been around for thousands of years, the modern codes took shape around the early 1900s in response to a number of catastrophic losses by fire in the late 1800s. For example, the Great Chicago Fire of 1871 resulted in 250 deaths and consumed 4 square miles of the city of Chicago. The large scale of this fire was attributed to shoddy construction and the overuse of combustible construction materials in a densely populated area. A year later, in 1872, a fire ravaged through Boston, burning 800 buildings, killing scores of people, and leaving 20,000 jobless. Unfortunately, we learn from the tragedies that so severely impact our lives. The codes are adapted to improve construction techniques in response to the lessons learned from disasters. The Coconut Grove nightclub fire of 1942, in which 492 people perished, gave birth to the need for exit signs, emergency lighting, and panic hardware in places of assembly. The Beverly Hills Supper Club fire in 1977, which took the lives of 164 people, caused sweeping revisions to the code with regard to aluminum wiring and the flammability and smoke production of wall and ceiling finishes. The catastrophic property losses experienced in the wake of Hurricane Andrew stimulated a total revision of wind load requirements for all structures. Recent modifications to the code address special consideration for fire protection and exits in extremely tall buildings in response to studies of the World Trade Center collapse.
We have additional requirements that are being put into the codes. Energy conservation is of a public interest in public welfare, and so now working with the federal government and working with the states, we are now mainstreaming the requirements for energy conservation into the code. Likewise for accessibility and those who are disabled. We're also looking to the future that we have national concerns for the sustainability of our environment, and so we're taking a direction currently toward mainstreaming sustainability and green requirements into the codes.
To protect your families, your employees, your patrons, and your investment, it is in your best interest to take advantage of the service provided by your local building department to assure compliance with the codes. Many communities have a local building department serving and protecting the welfare of the community. The typical building department has a chief building official responsible for all operations of the building department. There is at least one plan reviewer who will review construction documents for compliance with the codes. There are one or more inspectors who perform field inspections for code compliance and conformance with the plans. Acquiring a permit and subsequent inspections assure you that your project will be constructed to code.
Construction documents, it does a number of things. One, it gives the owners and the customers a clear understanding of what they will receive upon completion of the project. The general contractors, as well as all the subcontractors, that's their guidance, their blueprints, if you will, for completing the project. And certainly on the building inspection industry, all the field inspectors, that's the documents that they use both in the office as well as the field to ensure that the project is actually constructed as per approved drawings, and also that it will meet the code requirements of the jurisdiction.
It is important to ask questions about the process, about the methods, and approval notes on your plans. The better informed you are, the easier the job will progress to completion. The building department is always happy to answer your questions.
The building permit is the most important thing you could do for your job, either it be a room addition, a deck, or anything else you're building onto your home. Being a homeowner, you want to be safe, and you want to have your stuff inspected correctly by the building inspector. They will come out and do it piece by piece as you move on through your job. It'll be the right thing to do, and it'll be the cheapest thing you can do. And it's best to do that before you buy any materials and get your job done correctly.
After the permit is issued, construction may commence in accordance with the approved plans. Be sure to check with the building department about which inspections are required and the method of scheduling them.
When you're constructing an addition or a building, inspections are such an important part of the process. Inspectors are a third party that ensures that the construction is done in accordance with the approved set of plans, and that's for the protections of the citizens that we serve in our community.
Today's code official is experienced and well-trained in modern construction methods and technology as they relate to the codes. Each code enforcement officer must meet specific experience requirements and undergo rigorous training and testing to obtain a State of Ohio certification. Each certified code official must obtain regular continuing education to maintain their certification and remain sharp on new technology and code provisions.
Since about 1984, the board was authorized by law to create a certification for building department personnel. And we're probably one of the few states in the country that have a very structured system for becoming certified. There's a specific experience requirement and a specific set of exam modules that an individual has to take. Working with the Ohio Building Officials Association, the board has established a code academy, one of 2 or 3 in the country, and it's probably the most structured and more rigorous of academies. That code academy, combined with the training, the experience, and the examinations, I believe produces a cadre of inspection personnel, plan review personnel, building official personnel that's without peer in the country.
Continuing education gives people an opportunity to remain current in their field, remain professionals, and most of all, actually be able to help with our most important thing, and that is providing buildings and construction that keep people safe and healthy in their places. As we take each of these natural disasters, some of which we haven't experienced before, like the wildland-urban interface fires or earthquakes that we've seen before, but not the magnitudes or the type that we've experienced. It's so only through continuing education that the code officials can learn about those. Even in the state of Ohio, where we experience tornadoes, each time we experience a disaster like that, we learn how to provide different types of construction or connections. And it's through the continuing education process that the people have the ability to pass that information along to each other.
We at the local chapter, when we go to the OBOA meetings as a voting member, we are able to discuss a lot of codes and issues that come from all over the state. We're able to take back from the state level to the local level the code consistency that needs to be done and spread out throughout the entire state. When you go in there and you think about the codes and educating ourselves, I think the books go from the floor all the way up to the ceiling and what you're supposed to know. So it's a lot of information that's put together that one person has to think about when they're out there enforcing codes.
OBOA takes the lead in organizing participation statewide in the code development process.
When a chapter submits a code change proposal, that proposal can really represent dozens, sometimes hundreds, maybe even thousands of chapter members. When it's adopted into the code, it affects all of us in our communities, where we live and where we work.
Today's structures are safer, stronger, healthier, more energy efficient, and more accessible than ever before. This is no accident. It's the direct result of design and review, construction, and inspection in accordance with the code, our first line of defense. For more information on building codes, permits, and inspections, contact your local building department or a OBOA chapter near you.